everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I put new videos out every Thursday. In today's video, we're going over my recent reads from, 3 months ago? June to now, September. So 3 months of time. Basically my summer reading. Let's see what I read. The first book I actually listened to, which is One of Us Is Next by Karen McManus. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I really enjoyed the first book in this series, One of Us Is Lying, but personally I just really didn't think a sequel was necessary. This one, instead of following our original cast of characters, you're following the siblings of that cast of characters, and I just really wasn't that attached to them. So I gave this one a 3. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't my favorite. After that, I did carry on with the Ember and the Ashes series. So I read A Torch Against the Night as well as A Reaper at the Gates, both by Saba Tahir. I really enjoy this series. I've talked about it multiple times here on my channel. It's a really interesting YA dark fantasy that has a little bit of enemies to lovers romance to it. Not too much that'll overpower the story, but it just has enough that it kind of gives you something to hold on to. For these books particularly, I really enjoyed A Torch Against the Night a lot more than A Reaper at the Gates. They're both very good, but I gave A Torch Against the Night a 5-star rating, and A Reaper at the Gates, I believe I only gave it a 4-star rating. I know the 4th book in this series is scheduled to come out here very soon, and I am very excited to see where that takes our main characters. After that, I finished the Daughter of the Pirate King duology. So I finished it with the Daughter of the Siren Queen. I think I like the second book better only because we got to see more of Raiden and Captain Alosa's relationship and how it blossomed and everything. But both books are really good. If you like more of a pirates enemies to lovers situation, I think you would really like this, and it is kind of a riff on Captain Jack Sparrow, but it is a female badass lead. After that, I read Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I gave this a 5 out of 5 star rating. I absolutely loved this book, and I cannot wait to continue with this series. It is a multimedia book, which made it so interesting to read, and it made it go by so quick. After that, I listened to Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Reed Jenkins. I absolutely love this book. This was a 5 out of 5 star read. If you were going to read this book, I definitely recommend it as an audiobook because it does have a full cast. It's all about this band that was super popular in the 1970s and has since broken up. So you're following them in their prime and listening to each of the band members' stories and why each of the band members think they broke up, and you're trying to figure it out along the way. And I fell in love with these characters wholeheartedly. Definitely, if you haven't already, please pick this audiobook up. After that, I read the entire Shatter Me series, including all 4 novellas and all the books. I gave each and every book its own rating, but I think overall this is definitely a great series. It's a beautiful enemies to lovers. It's all about a girl that has a deadly touch and the government is trying to weaponize her. It has a beautiful romance in it, and I absolutely fell in love with the characters, especially Kenji. If you know, you know. The first 3 in the series, which is Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me, is what most people talk about because this was like the original core 3 of the series until Tahara Mafi added more to it. I was not disappointed by any one of these books. I could reread this whole series with no problem because I just enjoyed all the characters' point of view. There was never a chapter where I was like, oh God, can we get to the next character? I really just enjoyed every part of it while I was reading it. So love this series. My favorite books out of this series would probably have to be Ignite Me and Restore Me. I really enjoyed reading Warner's perspective, and these books gave it to me. And I think this is where the love story really shined the most, and that's kind of what I was really excited about. And then it kind of went downhill. I don't want to say that the last 2 in the series were bad because they weren't. I did enjoy them and I ate them up within a day for each. So I really enjoyed them. It's just the story really derailed. The whole beginning like kind of makes sense, but then it gets into like bodies and floating tubes of goo that are growing webbed feet, and you're like, what? And I feel like if you aren't a big fan of Kenji, you're probably not even gonna like this last one because he was one of the point of views in it and it wasn't Warner, and I think a lot of people were disappointed with that, which I can understand, but I loved Kenji, so I still loved this book. Also wanted to see more of Kenji's relationship in this book, if you know what I mean. I think he kind of, for being such a focal point, like he kind of got jibed, and unless you read the novella of the Reveal Me, you would never have known what had happened. Overall, I think it's a great series, and if you haven't picked it up already, I definitely recommend. After that, I read Dirty Deeds by Stella Reese. This is another enemies to lovers contemporary romance. It's about two people that used to be best friends and then they grew apart for some reason that you don't find out until later in the book, and they've always hated each other, but their families are still best friends, and she has to stay at his family's house over the summer, and she is under the impression that nobody else is supposed to be staying in this vacation home, it's just going to be her, but lo and behold, he shows up and it all kind of unfurls from there. It's a beautiful love story and it does have quite a bit of spice to it, so if that's something you're looking for, I definitely would recommend. I gave this a 5 stars. Wow, I thought I only gave it 4. I gave it 5. I thought it was pretty good. Another 5 out of 5 star book I listened to was The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I honestly was pretty skeptical about this going in. Is spectacle the spectacle? I was unsure. I've never been a kind of poetry type person, and I knew that this was a poetry styled writing, but I absolutely fell in love with Elizabeth Acevedo's writing, and I am so excited and eager to pick more of her books up. If poetry isn't really your thing and you don't really feel like you could read it properly, which is something I think I couldn't do, I think audiobook is the best way to do this because she says it in such a unique and slam poet way that it is beautiful, and I could listen to this over and over again. This book is all about a Latina named Xiomara that lives in Harlem, and she uses slam poetry to kind of figure herself out and where she stands in this world. And while she's trying to figure herself out, she kind of realizes that she may not agree with the beliefs that her family and her religion has always brought her up on. She is also starting to struggle with racial injustice and gender injustice, and she's starting to kind of question a lot of things going around in her world, which I really started to connect with. So I really enjoyed this book. I think this is a great audiobook and definitely one I would recommend picking up for anyone, any age. After that, I read To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is one that I had highly anticipated. I really thought this was going to be a 5-star read, but unfortunately it was only a 3-star read for me. It just did not live up to the hype. This is a Little Mermaid fairy tale retelling, and it is a darker version and twist on that, and has an enemies to lovers aspect to it. We follow our main characters Lyra and Elian, or Elian, I don't know how to say his name. But Lyra is a siren who is known as the Prince's Bane because she steals a heart from a prince once a year and buries it under her bed. It's a whole siren thing, I don't know. Elian, on the other hand, is the prince of a kingdom but is also a pirate. And Lyra is in the position where she has to steal his heart in order to take over her mother's throne of the Sea Witch. But as you can guess with any good enemies to lovers, in the process of her trying to kill him and steal his heart, they fall in love. The first 3/4 of the book I really enjoyed. I thought it had a great potential, but the last quarter of the book is really what crushed it for me. I don't think the romance really did anything for me. I think it had a great build-up, but other than that, it didn't do anything. I was just like, okay, hello. And the final fight scene, or the big action scene, I think the writing kind of was a little lackluster, and I had a hard time understanding, were they underwater, were they above water, were they on land? I was just like, what? Because it kind of went all over the place and it really confused me quite a bit. So with the writing style and the lack of the romance and just my high hopes for it crushed, I only gave it a 3. Sorry. After that, I read 3 books by Megan Marsh, and they were all in the Dirty Billionaire trilogy. If you don't know, I like spicy books. So I read Dirty Billionaire, Dirty Pleasures, and Dirty Together, and they were the trilogy in this series, and I absolutely loved them. I gave them 4 to 3 stars each, and I think that is well deserved. I think the spice level was great. It was a great alpha male lover romance, and it was also an enemies to lovers. So all in all, it was great. If that's something you're looking for, it's something I would definitely recommend. And the last book that I have read was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and oh my gosh, I have fallen in head over heels for this book. I gave this a 5-star rating. This is definitely one that I know I will pick up and reread again because it was just so good. Again, it was an enemies to lovers situation. Do we even have to understand? It's about 2 co-workers that are going for the same position, and they absolutely hate each other, and circumstances lead to more circumstances, and they end up having to go to a wedding together, and things escalate from there. If you have not read this and you love romance, contemporary, enemies to lovers, any of those, please pick this up. You will not regret it, and there is quite a bit of spice of it. So that is it for my recent reads. What of these books have you read? Did you find any in this video that you think you're gonna pick up? Let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, I hope you guys are having a great day and are reading a lot, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See ya!